case. This is We Have Concerns. Hi, Jeff Canada.
Hi, Anthony Carboni.
Hello, concerned citizens. Jeff, it is very rare that somebody invents multiple things that change the world, right?
That's right.
We talk about people all the, we think about the geniuses because the geniuses are the names that we know. The people that change the field, that do multiple things. Those are the people, those are the people we remember.
Your Doc Browns.
Your Doc Browns.
Your Rick Moranis from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah, Wayne Zielinski.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, these are the people that we remember in science.
Yeah.
Probably probably Rufus who made the time trap? Did Rufus make the time traveling phone booth, or was he just assigned it? Rufus was kind of an American Doctor Who, right?
Yeah.
Where he was just assigned the phone booth.
Yeah.
He didn't make it.
Your Egon Spanglers.
An Egon Spangler.
Yeah.
These are the people that we remember. The smart monkey from Overwatch.
Winston.
Fuck Activision. But there are people that have changed the world multiple times, whose names we don't even remember.
Yeah.
But they've done huge, huge things, changed the course of humanity. And I want to talk about one of them today that I just learned about. Have you ever heard, Jeff, of Thomas Midgley Jr.?
No, I know the dad, senior, of course. Everybody knows Thomas Midgley, but junior? No,
Yeah, here's the thing. Many people don't know this. Junior went on to do some stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Thomas Midgley, great dude. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
Every time I see the Midge around, I'm like, what up?
What up, Midge?
What up, Midge? And he's like, what up?
Well, that's the thing. When you have a dad as cool as Thomas Midgley, I think you probably, you can go one of two ways. And one of those ways is you want to outdo him in every way and you're really motivated to invent some stuff.
When your dad is the Midge and he's got the local world record for keg stands. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's tough.
Everybody high fives him down the street. They're constant, he never buys his own drink at the bar. You got to be like, I got to outdo dad in some way.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what Thomas Midgley Jr. did, Jeff. Thomas Midgley Jr. shaped, in a lot of ways, the 20th century. That's what I find interesting, that I had never heard of this man. Here's the deal. Thomas Midgley was a scientist who was working at General Motors. He was a chemical engineer at the time.
Okay.
In the beginning of the 20th century. He started working on a problem in 1916. And the problem was this. Do you ever watch an old cartoon, an old Warner Brothers cartoon, or even Mr. Toad? Mr. Toad's Wild Ride is actually what I think of with this. Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, he gets into the car and he turns it on and the car goes like,
yeah,
while it's running.
Yeah. It's a real chitty chitty bang bang situation.
A chitty bang bang situation.
Yeah.
That's called engine knocking. And engine knocking was like a really big issue with early automobiles. They were loud as shit. And they were making these incredibly loud, like pong, pong, like noises as they were driving. It was Mr. Toad all the way down. It didn't just sound like Mr. Toad. It sounded like Mr. Toad when he's not in the car and he's using his butt to scoot himself around. And he's going Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
All cars sounded like that. I was like, that number one, that's one of those things where when you see it in a cartoon and you're, 100 years removed from it, you go, that's funny.
Right.
But you don't know why. It's like, you think they're just making a joke.
Yeah.
And it is a joke.
No, you're right. I honestly, I think I've never really thought about it. I think as a kid, you just take it for granted that that's this funny car sound.
Yeah.
But you don't think that it's based in any kind of reality.
No, cartoons are there to make funny noises. Like if a cartoon character is going to be in a car for like a minute of a cartoon, you got to make the car funny.
Right. Yeah.
That's what
it's
I always thought.
Somebody gets hit on the head and it goes doing. It's like, you don't think that actually sounded like that at any point in real life.
No, it's just that's the funny sound. Well, it wasn't so funny to people who were on the streets every day in the 1900s And it was just so loud, Jeff.
Just car knocking all along the street all the time.
Imagine living, like, it's the equivalent now of living upstairs from a bar or having like a neighbor in your apartment complex who plays the drums, like times 1,000, because every car sounded like this.
It's like, you and I lived through something similar to this in the early 90s. You just walk down the street and all you heard was just people logging on to their modems.
It was just what people don't know. You might not know this for all the Gen Zs listening to the podcast. That modem noise wasn't just that noise. It was that noise. And I would say it was about as loud as a space shuttle taking off.
That's right. It's not just the funny internet sound from cartoons.
Yeah. And listen, you may know that it's a modem noise, but what you don't know is that modems were causing incredible hearing loss because they were if you put one of those audio meters by it that like the dudes do for gaming PCs to let you know that the fans are simply too loud, it would be, and you put one next to a modem and one next to a space shuttle taking off. Yeah, exactly the same noise.
That's right. It was terrible. Indistinguishable between the two.
That's right. Yeah. We had dogs were just crying for 10 years. Dogs were just crying because it was all they could hear. No, so the engine knocking was a real thing. This was like early days of cars, right? So there were a lot of things that they were trying to solve about cars to simply make people not hate cars.
Right.
Can you believe that?
For example, not dying every single time you drove one.
Right. Or every single time one passed by, right? Like it was right around this time that auto manufacturers created the concept of jaywalking.
Right.
Like auto manufacturers created that through
don't walk in front of the car, idiot.
Yeah. It's like nobody hates nobody hates people more than they hate a jaywalker. And it's like they just came up with that. That was just
because you know what stops every time you walk into a street? Mm-hmm. A horse.
That's right. Or yeah, it's just the horse goes, oh, whoa. Sorry, bud.
The horse has awareness and goes, oops.
That's right. And there was no right of way. If you look at like those early like 1900s films, like silent films from a street, and you see it's like people interweaving with bicycles, interweaving with a horse, and then there's a trolley that's trying to go down the street, and then there are 3 cars. Like they didn't like put that on just for the film. Like that's what streets were like, and cars were fucking killing people.
Well, you take the horse out of the equation, all of a sudden, people get hit.
Cars were killing people. And so auto manufacturers were like, we got to figure out something to do about this because we're not going to stop selling cars. And so they created the idea of the jaywalker. Okay, now we've made it so people think it's rude to walk, which has not left American culture.
That's right.
Yeah. In 100 years, it has not left American culture. But they were also like, we got to get rid of this engine knocking. Because also like the engine knocking does like it actually physically like vibrates the engine and stuff. And you're trying to like, they didn't have power steering or anything. So it's like, we've got to give people a smoother ride. Smooth ride was like most car marketing up until like 1970, I think, was like, and the ride is smooth. Cause like everybody would get into a car and it would just be like, you're going to get in this car and it's going to vibrate your teeth.
Yeah, you're going to rattle yourself to death.
You are going to hate being in a car.
Like, I think that's just like moving past walking speed in any way for a long time in human history was that. Like, you sit on a horse, not comfortable. Sit in a horse-drawn wagon, not comfortable.
But hey, Jeff, do you know what once again is the perfect invention? The bicycle.
Well, there you go.
The bicycle. Baby. Yeah. But anyway,
I mean, I imagine those penny farthing bicycles were not.
No, that ride's smooth as hell, dude.
That's what the big front wheel's for.
Yeah, the penny farthing.
Smooth it out.
So smooth, dude. On a penny farthing, damn.
You can fall asleep on one of those things. It's so smooth.
I was tired. Robert Midgley was not somebody who was trying to solve the murder problem or the smooth ride problem as much as he was somebody who was trying to solve the noise problem, right? Okay. And so Robert Midgley invented something that he found as a chemical engineer stopped the knocking of the engine. Do you know what it was, Jeff?
Is it the muffler?
No, Jeff. It was tetraethyl lead. He added
leaded gasoline.
He invented leaded gasoline.
Wow.
That's right. That's right. And Jeff, when he invented leaded gasoline, he was very proud. General Motors was very proud.
Sure.
And he held a press event, Jeff, where he
no one will ever find this to be problematic.
Yes. That was the meeting. The meeting was literally him pouring tetraethyl lead additive over his hands.
Oh, no.
Rubbing them together, inhaling the fumes.
Oh, sure.
And saying, I could do this every day without getting any health problems whatsoever.
Well, look, honey, he could do that every day. Look, a sane person wouldn't just do that. If there was anything dangerous about it, he wouldn't rub it all over his skin.
Here's the other thing. Hey, Midgley.
Yeah.
Just fill the bottle with water, my dude.
Yeah, well, there you go.
If you're going to lie to the world. If you're going to
snake oil it up. You know what I'm saying?
If you're going to lie to the world about the safety of something, why not just go all the way and not harm yourself and give yourself lead poisoning?
Well, that's the thing is that he sounds like he legit believed this, right? Like that, it's just wrong.
He did not.
Oh, really? He was a liar?
He did not believe it, Jeffrey.
Wow.
He did
Are we
not.
sure that he didn't just rub water on himself?
He simply took the hit.
Wow.
He simply took the hit because he believed that it probably wouldn't be that bad. And this was for the greater good.
Wow.
He genuinely believed it.
Dude.
Isn't that wild?
The Midgster.
The Midge. This is why we like his dad better. This is why his dad is more well-loved.
Yeah. Because his dad just drank beer.
Yeah.
He drinks freaking leaded gasoline.
Yeah, dude. Midgley Jr., he's like, hey, it's also great for clearing up your skin. He's like rubbing it all over himself. He's like, it protects the children from the harsh rays of the sun. This is a dude who has had an entire life of doing some wild shit. He was born in Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania in 1889. And in high school, he was basically a chemical engineer his whole life. In high school, he used to chew the bark of slippery elm trees, okay? And then rub them on baseballs before he pitched them to give them a more curved trajectory.
Known cheater. Cheater all the way back.
Cheating chemical engineer his whole life.
Wow.
This is another thing that I only know from cartoons. The cartoon character like spitting a wad of something on the baseball.
Yeah.
And then throwing it.
They still deal with that in MLB today. Like put anything on scratch a baseball, put some wad of something on it.
Yeah. You can't do that.
No.
You can't do that.
That's a cheat.
That's a cheat. And he used to do that. And it became a practice that like professional players did pick up. And that's why it became a thing. And that's why it became a thing in cartoons. And that's why it's something that like the MLB has to look out for. It's
the same guy who invented leaded gasoline.
The same guy who invented leaded gasoline. Is
this a Chronicles of a Badass right now? Are we doing one?
Sort of in a bizarro way, I think.
All right.
In a bizarro way, we might be. So this was, in 1916, the task of the engine knocking fell onto him. It was GM, Standard Oil, and DuPont coming together to try to figure out.
The Holy Trinity.
That's right. Just three groups with the best intentions.
That's right.
Coming together to figure out how to create more powerful engines. And in order to create more powerful engines, right? Because cars were slow. Cars were slow as shit.
Yeah.
One of the reasons that people like hated cars is not just because the horse would stop when it saw you, but because in a lot of times the horse or the bicycle was better for you.
Right.
It would get you there quicker.
Yeah.
The trolley would get you there.
It could barely kill a person.
Yeah. You'd get there faster and without death. Right? So even if you remove the dealing with the fact that you hit someone to death, right, which adds time, which makes you late. Yeah. Even if you don't hit somebody, it's still slower than a trolley or a bike. And then most people hated cars because they got in the way of trolleys and bikes and horses. But if they could make it a more powerful engine, if they could get these things going, the only way I think about this is I think about the open world video game Mafia.
Oh yeah.
In the open world video game Mafia, which was like a 1920s Grand Theft Auto, you would get into the car in Mafia to do a mission. And the car
it would take you an hour and a half to get to the to the location.
I remember getting in the car in Mafia and being like, this game sucks. This is the most boring game I've ever played in my life, because the car would top out at like 15, 20 miles an hour.
That's verisimilitude is what that is.
Yeah, they were like, this is really what it was like. I was like, I don't want what it was really like. I want a fast car. So they were trying to create a faster car, a more powerful car, a more efficient car, and a car that didn't knock. And so they all got together, and under the direction of Charles Kettering, which was another name you may have heard. He was an influential American inventor. He was the head of research at GM at the time. And they went through thousands of substances. They tried adding arsenic to gas.
Of course.
They tried adding sulfur, silicon, all of this stuff. And they finally landed on tetraethyl lead. And they just marketed it as ethyl. Leaded, like ethyl gasoline.
Ethyl. Yeah.
When you're looking for gasoline, you want ethyl gasoline.
Of course you do.
And it went on.
It's not engine knocking anymore. It's planet knocking.
That's right. That's right. It's knocking the horse out of your fucking way so you can get there on time. You know what I'm saying? What's that worth to you? Is it worth everything?
Yeah, it turns out it was.
Turns out.
Absolutely.
It turns out the video game Mafia was right, and the things that I was feeling are the things that America was feeling. When I was annoyed by this car, I was really there, Jeff.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what it takes as long as I get there slightly faster.
That's right. And so it went on sale, and there were alarms raised because even back then, people knew that, like, hey, lead's toxic.
Yeah.
Like, people knew that. Like, even then they were kind of like, hey, we probably shouldn't be using lead, but it's like the best thing we have for some of these applications.
So good though. And like, we have so much of it. And also, like,
honestly, I have my grandfather and grandmother went to their grave telling me that, like, even at the time that they died, that the paint that we have just wasn't as nice as lead paint.
I'm sure it wasn't. Like, that doesn't seem to be something I would dispute. Like, yeah, you can make really nice shit that kills you.
Yeah. You know? Dude, I bet that paint went on smooth. I bet you only needed like one coat.
Beautiful stuff.
And the baby blue of those walls.
Sheen.
Oh my God. Woo. Let me tell you something. That child's nursery looked it was beautiful. The baby blue and the taste of it when the kid would pick it off the wall.
Yeah. The baby's room was amazing. The baby, baby
wound up a little dumb.
It was a time when people just thought, not all kids shouldn't die.
Listen, we were simply conditioned as a society to believe that most kids did.
That's right. Actually, it sounds like a joke, but
that's pretty true.
It's just true. It's just people just thought, like, well, you got to have lots of kids because you're going to lose a bunch.
That's where the entire religious idea, the religious doctrine of, like, be fruitful and multiply, have as many kids as you can. You have to do that because otherwise humanity dies out.
You're just throwing spaghetti against a wall, hoping some sticks.
Truly. Listen, prior to 1973, they would tell you, just don't have a favorite kid.
Right.
Not because of the psychological and emotional implications of it. We wouldn't know about those as parents until maybe 1997. But don't have a favorite child, not because it's horrible to your children, but because your favorite one's probably going to die.
Oh yeah. You get attached to any one of them, and that's just bad business.
Yeah,
that's just
you
not
learn
smart.
this through watching any movie about like a boy king. You know, when the father watches the strong son die and the weak son is going to be king, and he's like, it shouldn't have been you. You'll never be king. I'll never let it happen.
Well, that's why you got to have a bunch of sons so you can have backup sons. You have
so many sons, dude.
Yeah,
and listen. You got to have enough sons so 3 of them can wait in the car while one of them fills the tank.
That's right. With most leaded ethyl you can find.
But you think about this, it's like people were thinking about how lead's known as a toxin, but the position of the industry at that time was like there was no proof that lead coming out of the tailpipes of cars was going to injure people.
Sure. It just goes right up into the air and it's gone. We don't even see it anymore.
There's so much air and there's so little car.
Yeah. And by the way, there's much bigger things shooting much darker stuff into the air at this time.
Oh, please. Listen, the revolution was industrial, my friend.
That's right. That's right. If you're gonna talk to me about that tiny little pipe right there, look at that giant smokestack,
folks,
and that one, and those 4 over there.
Folks, listen. we had to build the factories to build the planes and the tanks. We got done building the planes and the tanks. We're never going to go to war again. The economy is only going to go up from here. It's time to start building the future. And the future is leaded, baby.
That's right.
The future is full
worry
of
about
ethyl.
It. Why would I worry about it?
Did you know, Jeff, that right now, what we know, like they knew it was poisonous back then, but we know right now that there is no safe level of exposure to lead.
Yeah.
None. There is not a safe way to be exposed to lead. Lead impairs the development of children almost immediately, and an estimated 1 million people a year still die from lead poisoning. And we're not even using it in shit anymore.
Yeah. It's just around,
it's
evidently.
Just sort of here-ish.
Yeah.
Fucking wild. But the industry at the time in 1925 was like, yo, don't worry, BBs. My sweet little BBs. It's so good.
Look at how fast the car go. Yeah, you're loving it.
Car go fast. Paint is bright.
Oh, what a world.
What a world we live in.
How long did it take for us to get to unleaded gas?
I believe unleaded gasoline was the late 70s, early 80s.
That's what I was going to guess. I thought it was like late 70s. Yeah.
Unleaded gasoline was...
that's a long time.
Was not a thing.
That's a lot of poisoning of
And you could still buy leaded gas in the United States until 1996.
Yeah.
So
unleaded was a distinction because there was other options.
Yeah, because it was sort of like the smoking and non-smoking section, right?
Right.
Like we had learned that this thing was bad, but it was part of enough people's lifestyle. Or in the case of the gasoline, somebody just bought a car. They're going to have that car for a decade.
Yeah.
You're going to tell them they can't fill up that car? That's
always the fun thing too about America and the world really, but mostly America is the we could do a safer one, but it's going to be more expensive.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be harder for you to justify.
Yeah. You know? And unleaded gasoline, I believe I can't remember whether unleaded gasoline was more expensive or less expensive.
That's my recollection. I'm pulling that from a tiny, tiny baby in the early 80s.
Yeah, you would imagine that the government would try to do some sort of subsidy on the price of gas during that time for unleaded, like as a way to get people to buy cars that used it. But who knows? I don't remember. I was baby. But we still used it until 1996. Algeria had leaded gasoline until 2021.
Wow.
And lead additives can still be used in aviation fuel simply because
otherwise... Look how high up you are already.
you're so high up, it's not going to hurt anything. And also like, hey man, planes burn a lot of fuel.
Yeah.
And if you remove the lead from that fuel, they burn even more fuel. Do you want to get where you're going today, or do you want to drop out of the sky?
Sure.
So yeah, in 1925, they knew that this was going to happen. Immediately, workers in ethyl manufacturers started experiencing ill effects. People working in the labs were getting super sick. They would literally go insane from lead exposure.
Oh my God.
Midgley, of course, had lead poisoning.
Well, of course, he was just bathing in it.
He was literally bathing in it publicly for a press event. He wrote, as a matter of fact, his press conference was in 1924. Okay. It was in 1924. Leaded gas had been on sale in Dayton, Ohio at that point for a few months. It was spreading out to the rest of the country. But in January of 1923, the year before, we have a letter that he wrote to somebody that was like, oh yeah, I definitely have a touch of the lead poisoning.
Just a wee bit.
I got a little touch of the lead poisoning.
Just making it harder for me to cheat at baseball.
That's all. Otherwise, I'm fit as a fiddle, really. He did have lead poisoning for the rest of his life. It doesn't go away when you have that high concentration of lead in your body. But remember, Jeff, I said this man affected the world multiple times.
Yeah. So not just with the baseball thing. I thought that was number 2.
No, the baseball thing was not number 2.
That's just an ancillary fact.
That's just a hilarious anecdote. We don't know if he came up with that or if he just knew about it because of how it spread. But he was definitely one of the first to do it. But I'll tell you this, Jeff. You might think to yourself, Robert Midgley Jr., not the good one. Robert Midgley Jr. Is thinking to himself, he's lead poisoned. He's thinking to himself later on in life, he's still an inventor. Do you think maybe he's going to right the course here? He's going to be like, I can't believe I did that much harm.
Yeah.
I'm going to invent something that affects the world in a positive way. Oh,
I'd love that to be the end of the story. Is that did he see the light and he tried to course correct for the planet?
He did. He tried to do something really good for the planet. He and Charles Kettering, again, his boss, his very cool boss, who I do not picture as Darth Sidious in any way.
Sure.
Just not just like, you will invent something and you will put it in their vehicles. Like I'm sure Charles Kettering was very cool. They turned their attention to creating a non-toxic, non-flammable alternative to refrigerant gases like ammonia, which were being used in all of the appliances and air conditioners at the time.
Sure.
So they had to come up with something. They had to come up with something that would replace the ammonia in the air conditioners, Jeff. Something safer. He invented Freon.
The same guy that did unleaded or that did leaded gasoline did Freon?
The same guy that gave us lead in the air gave us chlorofluorocarbons.
This guy.
Freon, if you are unfamiliar, was the first CFC. And some would say the best. Freon is methane, carbon, chlorine, and fluorine atoms.
Yeah.
Okay. He invented Freon, Jeff, just a scant 6 years after he invented leaded gasoline.
This guy's got all the hits.
He really did. And in another public demonstration, Jeffrey.
Oh, did he pour Freon all over his body?
In 1930, our boy, Robert Midgley, inhaled a bunch of Freon.
Jesus. This guy's amazing.
And blew out a candle with it and said once again, look, baby, I could do this all day. He's just the idiot Captain America, this guy.
There's nothing damaging about any of this.
I find you're good too. I love, and then just like falls over. Freon, of course, is what made air conditioning happen for the United States.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it made it happen.
Made it possible. Yeah.
After World War II, manufacturers also started routinely using CFCs as propellants for all sorts of products. It gave us hairspray.
Sure did.
It gave us insecticides.
Yeah.
It gave us all the good, healthy things.
Spray paint.
That's right, spray paint. All of these good, healthy things that have never done anything wrong or made anyone sick.
Yeah.
Now, CFCs, of course, in the 1970s, we discovered 3 decades after Midgley had taken the bag and ran and died.
Taking the bag and huffed it.
And huffed the bag. Just this dude would huff anything. That's the thing is like, was he a good chemical engineer? Yeah, pretty good. I mean, he was working in a lab with other people. But what was his real benefit? What was his real like cool thing he could do? Much like his father, who would do a keg stand anywhere, anytime. Robert Midgley Jr. would simply huff anything you put in his hands.
He'll drink it. He's a human test dummy. It's Kittering is just like, hey, bring Midgley in here. I mixed up some shit. I want to see if it's damaging.
Yeah. See if Midgley will drink this. Is this a new experiment, Mr. Kettering? A test? No, I just want to see if Midgley will drink it.
I just want to see what happens.
It's just some weird gutter water. See if Midgley will drink. Hey, Midgley, get a straw. Drink from the gutter. Yes, sir, Mr. Kettering, sir.
Right away, sir.
In the 1970s, of course, we found out that CFCs had punched a hole in the ozone layer over Antarctica.
Sure.
And we spent decades trying to remove CFCs from all the products.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff, all the products. Do you remember, Jeff, if styrofoam used to be made in such a way where if you broke styrofoam, it would release CFCs into the air?
Yeah.
Styrofoam. I remember being a kid and my parents telling me not to break the styrofoam. Yeah. Because it would release stuff into the air.
We packed your toys in this very, very fragile material. Please don't break it.
Don't break it. Hey, what'd you get? Would you get a box full of styrofoam peanuts? Don't play with it, kid.
Don't do that. That's a bad idea.
That's the devil's marshmallow. Is what we used to call it.
That's right. Everybody from the 80s remembers that.
The forbidden peep is what we would call it.
Forbidden peep. I remember that episode of Punky Brewster. It was a very special episode.
That's right. They would be like, this is not like a regular peep, Punky. This is the forbidden peep. If you play with this peep, it will release danger into the air.
They had this special guest, Mr. T, came on. He's like, I pity the peep.
That's right. I know it's fun to crush in your hands, and then he would crush it. And they'd be like, no. Hey, buddy, no. Mr. T?
No, Mr. T.
You can't do that. He's
Stop.
Like, you can't demonstrate it. You can't demonstrate. He's like, but it's fun. It's fun to crush styrofoam peanuts in your hand. Are we still rolling? Turn off the camera. Are you trying to tell me that... Are you trying to tell me, Mr. T, B.A. Baracus, that I can't dive into this box of styrofoam peanuts like Uncle Scrooge?
That's right, Mr. T. It's not good for you anymore.
It's like, I'll just do the
punky.
I'll just do the anti-drug one instead. Because I don't believe this. Why would you invent this if we can't swim in it like Uncle Scrooge? It was like genuinely, I remember my mom being like kind of disappointed because just like my grandparents with the paint, my mom was like, hairspray sucks now.
Oh yeah. You had to shake the bottle and like they had the pump. Nobody wanted the pump.
Hairspray is pretty good now. Like, I don't know. Like hairspray seems good. But I remember my mom being like, really, because my mom had some big fucking hair. in the 80s and
everybody
early 90s,
did. You couldn't not. You weren't allowed to have small hair.
Just huge hair. Just the hugest hair you've ever seen.
They'd pull you right over on the street and be like, ma'am, I'm sorry, your hair's too small.
Yeah.
Here, use this hairspray.
Also, ma'am, I don't know if you're aware of this, but your seatbelt's fastened. You might want to undo that just for range of motion. It could save a life, ma'am.
How else were you doing the effective stop short for your kids?
That's right. That's right. Listen, we've run a lot of tests, ma'am. General Motors has run a lot of tests under Charles Kettering, who is somehow still alive. He's 230 years old.
Yeah.
And he says, nothing will protect a child in a car better than the arm of a mother. Remove the belts. But yeah, I remember my mom being just like, man, hairspray is terrible now. It doesn't work. And I remember her having to do the pump one. It was like hairspray came in containers like cologne.
Yeah.
Where every pump was just like a little bit of hairspray. And I remember watching my mom just like, I don't know. It looked like she was working in a fucking coal mine or something. The way she was just sad and just like,
yeah. Everybody hated it. Everybody looked at each other and was like, what are we going to do now? Moose? Are we going to be moose people now?
Yeah. Ugh. Please. Pomade? Pomade? Like our parents? Absolutely not. And that was when we invented the sheets of air bubbles.
Yeah.
The poppable bubbles that go into mail, which of course are made of plastic, which is the new thing that's killing us all.
Yeah. That's great.
It's I don't know if you read the article last week, Jeff, but it's in our testicles. The microplastics.
Sure. That's a great place for them.
They found it in literally every testicle that they checked.
It was a weird day when they came and checked my testicle. They just knocked on the door and were like, sir, we're doing all the testicles.
Now, Jeff, did they show you any kind of credentials or...
you just sort of take a person at their word at a certain point,
I like the cut of his jib. I remember reading that there was like testicle stuff going on. So I was like, sure, this must be the testicle check.
I had inhaled a lot of lead that day, so I don't know.
That's right. That's right. You were just like, listen, they can pry my beautiful taupe room from my cold dead hands. You think you're gonna get this kind of taupe from any other kind of paint? An oil-based paint? Fuck you.
The sheen,
baby. So leaded gasoline wasn't phased out for a while. The Montreal Protocol was designed to...
Which is a great Jason Bourne movie, by the way.
And also an amazing band.
Sure, yeah.
Of Montreal Protocol.
Weird, they're out of Vancouver, though. It's very strange.
They are. The Montreal Protocol in 1987 was designed to phase out CFCs, and that took from 1989 until 2010. And the ozone hole, the hole in the ozone layer has been on the mend since then.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. There was a meme going around recently from some idiots saying, they made us stop using hairspray. What did that do? And it's like, it actually helped tremendously.
It actually has slowed down.
It literally helped mend the hole in the ozone layer.
Yeah, it's actually slowed down. You know, the thing that we're warning you about now, it slowed down that from happening.
Yeah. It was one of the most successful public safety initiatives in human history.
That's right. However, CFC, like it's gonna actually heal, by the way, within the next half century.
That's great.
Within 50 years, we might live to see, Jeff. You and I might live to see the report that the hole in the ozone layer is completely closed.
Not if my testicle lead or plastic has anything to say about it. Oh,
absolutely not. By the way, this is an aside because this is not what this is about. Our dude did not invent microplastics or plastics. So, but I do want to say that
he would have if he could have. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'd like.
He wanted to.
I'd like to think that if Thomas Midgley could have put plastics in our testicles, he would have.
Or at least
to get a pat on the head from Charles Kittering, I think he would have.
He would have at least publicly inserted them into his own testicles.
Yeah, he would have put them in his own testicles. Yeah. He would have done that first. That's the thing. Here's the thing. Thomas Midgley, the sort of murderer who wouldn't murder anybody by anything he wouldn't murder himself with.
Yeah.
And you have to respect that on a level.
You do have to respect that,
But yeah, it's apparently there has been over the last 50 years, there has been a severe decline in sperm count and sperm potency across the board in all mankind. And it's the microplastics, Jeff.
Sweet.
It's the microplastics. So anyway, that's just a fun aside. So CFCs, of course, are gone. Now, Robert Midgley died on November 2nd, 1944. And Jeff, it's not funny. It's not funny how he died, okay?
Okay. Uh-huh.
We don't laugh about how he died, Robert Midgley.
Okay.
Okay, we don't do it.
Yeah. All right.
Now, Robert Midgley had contracted polio and in 1940, and he became disabled. And so he devised his final invention. It was a machine that was made to lift him out of bed and put him into a wheelchair autonomously using strings and pulleys so he wouldn't need any help.
Oh, no.
On November 2nd, 1944, Robert Midgley became entangled in the machine and died of strangulation.
Oh, no.
It's not funny,
Oh,
Jeff.
No. Oh,
it's not funny.
Oh, no.
Jeff, it's not funny that he invented a third death trap.
I want to demonstrate the safety of my pulley machine so all can see.
Yeah, he's just like one last good deed for the planet. You can do it, Midgley. One last pitch into the old strike zone, Midgley. Rub some of that spit-covered bark onto the baseball of life, Midgley. We're doing it one more time.
I can just imagine his caretaker finding him, just like still being yanked in multiple directions like a marionette, just like just
genuinely. Now, here's what we are going to say here. It was, of course, it was later shown to be, or later thought to have been, death by suicide.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The prevailing theory now, it was thought, of course, to be like a huge irony that the death man invented one final death trap. We do now believe that it was suicide. We don't have any sort of proof one way or the other.
Well, it sounds like the dude been trying to commit suicide for decades.
Yeah. It could be that he had just invited a reporter over to show how safe his pulley system was. And after he got caught in it, the reporter was like, ooh, you know what? I am just gonna take my leave from here. Yeah, but it is now thought that it was suicide. They did say that he, towards the end of his life, he had expressed a tremendous sense of guilt over these things. Wow. Not enough guilt not to do it at the time. Sure. But he did say, boy, I sure am sad that I gave literally everyone who worked with me physical and mental illnesses and also released them into the literal sky.
Yeah.
Boy, I sure do feel bad about that. Fucking Christopher Nolan make a movie about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like here's a guy who's also sad about it. Why don't you make a movie about it, Christopher Nolan? Why don't you make it 3 hours long, Christopher Nolan? They do believe that but also here's the other thing. He'd been giving himself lead poisoning. He was not in his right mind when he did a lot of this stuff.
Fair point. Yeah. I mean, it's the work of an addled brain.
He was brilliant in some ways, but then also literally exposing himself to dangerous chemicals all the time.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, sure. Brilliant chemical engineer. But we also know that lead poisoning now contributes to a lack of empathy.
Sure.
We know that it contributes to a lack of critical thinking, especially in terms of personal consequence and safety.
He's a literal mad scientist.
He literally is a mad scientist. He was literally a mad scientist. And the thing is, like, the entire industry the whole time was telling him that he was like incredibly brilliant.
Sure.
Right? Like, he got the Society of Chemical Industry awarded him something called the Perkin Medal in 1937, which is apparently a huge deal.
Mm-hmm.
They gave him the Priestley Medal in 1941 because he was just such a sweet, godly man.
Mm-hmm.
The Priestley Award, these are both like huge honors in the Society of Chemical Industry. He actually became the president of the Society of the American Chemical Society the year of his death. In 1944, he was the president of the American Chemical Society. Whoops.
Don't give that to anybody, I guess.
No. Now, his biographical memoir, the biography of Thomas Midgley Jr., was written by Charles Kettering.
Wow.
And contains nothing but praise.
Of course, sure. These two are the best of buds.
Ends by saying that Midgley left behind a great heritage to the world from a busy, a diversified, and a highly creative life.
And also had the best of bosses.
Yeah. He was very cool. We all agree that he was cool, and the only person who could have been cooler is the person who made him. Like...
Did he do some good things? Of course he did. Could he have done more? Maybe. Will we ever know? Probably not.
Probably.
What's his name? The old producer.
Oh, God, Robert Evans.
Robert Evans.
Yeah.
Did he poison the air? Of course.
Did he poison the air? Sure he did. But let me tell you something.
Did he change the world? Bet.
But let me tell you something, kid. He put butts in seats. Car seats. Boy, I never realized until now how close Darth Sidious and
Robert Evans
are.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
In more ways than one.
This article lists, some other stuff that people invented that turned out to be unwittingly deadly. I would argue that the things that Thomas Midgley created were not unwittingly deadly.
Wittingly?
I think the wording of this CNN article that says unwittingly deadly is actually a segue into a completely different subject. Because our dude knew.
Yeah.
Our dude knew. But they brought up things like TNT was developed for use as a yellow dye.
Oh, right.
It was a bright yellow dye, and there was no better yellow dye than the explosive chemical TNT.
the brightest of yellows. The last yellow you'll ever see.
And they also say in this article that, like, hey, in the same article where they talk about unwitting, or the same paragraph where they talk about unwittingly, Jeff, they say, hey, it's tempting to see him as an environmental villain, but experts say his role was more akin to a cog in the machine.
Sure. Yeah. The environment was going to get destroyed, be it him or 400 other people that are all working diligently to destroy the fuck out of the environment.
Yeah, that's just the rule of two, and the Sith always follow the rule of two. If it had not been Midgley, it would have been Count Dooku.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no, and
always
then, like,
an apprentice.
Yeah, that's the thing is, like, and then, if Kettering had died, it probably just would have been Darth Tyrannus.
Right. Sure.
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
This environment is going to get fucked up.
Now there is, I do think about this in a way that I think about, like, I always tell people that work for, like, large soulless corporations now, I'm always like, hey, work for the large soulless corporation that treats you the best.
Yeah.
Because they're all terrible.
Right.
And you have to have a job, and, like, all jobs are corporate now. And so I guess it is, you could look back on this and be like, hey, this is just a guy who had a brilliant chemical mind who was looking for a gig where he could do, do a lot. And his boss was like, hey, this is what we're looking to do. And so I get it. I get seeing like, hey, he's not the villain here, but like, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's hard to know. I think the like knowingly lying part is pretty damning, but also
the rubbing the gasoline on his hands is where I go, I don't know, CNN World.
Yeah.
Kettering could have done that. Like
Kettering's in the back row going, just keep watching him, everybody. He's great.
Yeah.
I'll cash the checks.
That's the thing, is they could have put anybody up there in front and made him do it. You know what I mean? Like, he was the one that chose to do it.
Yeah. That leads me to believe he was drinking the Kool-Aid. Yeah. Or in this case, drinking the gasoline, you know?
Yeah. And I don't know. If there is one thing that I learned from the 3 hour, isn't it sad that this man did a bad Oppenheimer, is he had opportunities to just go, nah, no thanks.
Yeah.
He could have just been like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
That was my takeaway from Oppenheimer. Should I have taken away something else from Oppenheimer?
I think Nolan would prefer you did.
I didn't. Hey, Christopher Nolan. Hey, Christopher Nolan, lean in to your speaker. I know you're listening. I didn't. So there you go, Jeff. I don't know if this is the Chronicles of a Badass.
I don't think so. I mean, I don't think so.
I'd rather not put it in that category, because even though we have so rarely successfully had a Chronicles of a Badass, it's usually because of their unknowing stupidity. This is just flat out evil, and I'd rather not call it evil a badass.
I'm inclined to agree. Yeah.
Now,
but fascinating story nonetheless. It's amazing how one person can create so much death.
Yeah. Dang. It really is. When you put it that way, when you lay it all out like that and you go, damn, it's wild that one dude could pour 4 chemicals into a tube and fuck up everything for 100 years.
Yeah. But not just once. Like, in different ways.
Yeah, he did it twice, Mike. He did it twice. Yeah. He was just like, stand back.
Yeah. Hold my glass of gasoline.
Hold my ammonia and breathe it deep. Yeah, there you go, everybody. The man who changed the world twice.
Yeah. The old midster.
The old midster. So when you're out there and you're thinking, I can't change the world, what can I do? I'm just one man. Think of Thomas Midgley Jr. and fuck up everything for everyone. That's the lesson.
Hey, if you want to have some positive effect, at least on us, and maybe the world, because it helps make this show continue, why not support us? Support us financially. It's the only way that we get to make these shows and tell you about these delightful moments from our history and so much more. Patreon.com/wehaveconcerns is where you can go to donate to us. As little as $1 gets you access to our Discord, but there are perks that go up from there if you are able to give us more money per month.
That's right.
And ensure the survival of not only this show, but maybe the planet.
That's right. You can get extra bonus audio, video content, all kinds of stuff over on patreon.com/wehaveconcerns.